This is one of those things that cyber is an international construct.
Yes, definitely.
You can't get away from it. I do a lot of work with the folks in Norfolk State.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, with their cyber program up there.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was born in Norfolk. It's where
okay.
I used to live there. So.
Oh, good city, good city, good city. I usually get up there about once or twice a year for meetings and such, and workshops and seminars and stuff like that. We do that because of COVID now. Everything is by virtual, so
yeah.
But we're still affiliated with those guys. And actually, they just launched. They have a master's in cyber psychology.
Oh wow, that's really.
Yeah, because my program, we focus on cybersecurity, cybercrime, cyber psychology, cyber sociology, and economics of cyber.
Wow.
And we have an undergrad degree at the college here in cybersecurity and also a minor in cybersecurity as well. Our program is actually a K through 20 program where we work with K through 12 kids, also with undergrad and grads as well. When it comes to, we're actually a cybersecurity pipeline project. In a nutshell, it's designed to get folks jobs in the cyberspace. And so therefore you're talking about trading, whether it's coding and network security or threat intelligence or forensics and things like that. So part of our task is exposing K through 12, K through 20 folks about those kinds of things, and also provide opportunities for training and getting skill development as well. So we do a lot of that from day to day.
Yeah, that's super awesome. Yeah, that's really exciting.
Oh yes, oh yes, oh yes. Even more so when you have tons and tons of vacancy. The job gap in cyber is so huge. And the idea, once again, is if you're in this space, and although we understand that everybody is not going to want to be a hacker, but there are a lot of jobs in this space, Yeah. And that's the main thing we talk about all the time.
Of course. It looks like we're at 5:30, Leo.
Okay.
I assume attendees will probably be joining a bit late, but I guess we should get started now. I want to welcome Dr. Jeter, who's going to talk today about cybersecurity.
Okay, folks, how you doing? Hopefully you can see me, and I'm going to share the screen and bring up my my presentation, and we can talk through that. But my name is Dr. Jeter, and I'm the Director of Cybersecurity here at Benedict College. We're HBCU in Columbia, South Carolina. Our program is designed, as I was saying, our program is a K through 20 program. It's designed to provide education, cybersecurity awareness, scholarships, career pathways when it comes to getting into cybersecurity, whether it be an analyst or IT person or a programmer or a coder or even up to a CISO. So that's what our program is all about here at Benedict College. And what we're going to do today, I want to welcome each and every one of you here. I'm really excited about this opportunity to talk to you and to talk to you more specifically about phishing and what that is, and hopefully leave you with some lessons, some things to do as far as that is concerned, as far as being safe online. And so I'll go through the slide deck here. If you have any questions, I think you can technologically raise your hand and I'll get the question. I'll be able to answer it during the presentations. So no need to wait to the end. If you have something pressing or want me to restate something or clarify something, I can do that as well. But I think we'll have a good time now with this as far as going into cybersecurity and phishing, that particular concept right there, okay? All right then, once again, welcome aboard. We have this, okay. What we want to talk about, and I want to sort of put it in context when you think about cybersecurity. It's really a triangle kind of thing. It's about cyberspace, and as you know, cyberspace is the internet. And there's only one way to get into cyberspace versus a physical space. It is through the internet, whether that be mobile phone, tablet, laptop, PC, or some Internet of Things. But the idea is that cyberspace is amorphous, it's all around you, as far as that's concerned. And there are many, many ways to get into cyberspace or get on cyberspace and to communicate in that sort of world there. And most importantly, once you get into cyberspace, what a lot of folks may not think about from day to day, whether you're gaming or listening to music or whatever you may be doing, cybersecurity is foundational. Is that how do you protect yourself? How do you protect information? Your friends, or you may be in a platform where you with thousands of people, and you may know them, you may not, but you want to be secure, because there are a lot of bad actors, and we'll talk about that as well. Bad actors within that cyberspace, just like in a city or town, you have bad players trying to get information, trying to do harm. So we'll talk a little bit about that and put that in context. But once you're in cyberspace, it's fun, it's educational, but you have to be secure at all times, which is important, because the other piece about cyberspace and cybersecurity is cybercrime. Bad guys live there. People trying to exploit, people trying to get your information, your finances, and things like that. Whether you're in middle school, high school, college, organizations, criminals are working 24 hours a day. They never sleep. And so that's why it's important for us to really be safe, cyber safe at all times, regardless of what we're actually doing, regardless of what we're actually doing online as far as that is concerned. So it's very important that, hopefully you can hear me, it's very important we understand, as I said before, the concepts of cyberspace, cybersecurity, and cybercrime. You go from there. Now, excuse me. I know many of you engage in various social medias, but one of the things that you may not think about is a lot of times is that, gaming is fun, listening to music is fun, Twitter, Facebook, Snap, whatever you may be doing, and you're really enjoying yourself as far as that is concerned. But the reality is that bad guys know this. Bad guys know this. There are bad actors out there who are, their job is to hack video games, to get your information. If you're playing, for example, if you're playing Fortnite and you're seeing thousands of people there, ask yourself, would you really know those individuals if you were to walk down the street? Things like that. And when it comes to phishing, that's a way to get you hooked. You love the games, you play the games, you got your communities, you're talking to certain people, and pow, there's an email in your system, from Fortnite. Think about that. How quick, how long would it take you to click that message? Because it may be from one of your community members in one of these games before you click it. And remember now, it only takes a second. One person once you click, and by the time that finger comes off that mouse, that virus, that malicious malware is already in your system. It just takes a nanosecond. So the issue boils down is how much restraint do you have before you click? You got to think before you click, and that's what it boils down to, which is very, very important. So we'll talk a little more about that as we move forward. So just be conscious about how they get at you, okay? And they're going to, especially when it comes to phishing, they're going to use the tools and resources, things that you do every day, because they assume that, which happens all the time, that you're going to drop your guard. You're not going to be as diligent as they are. As they say in the cyber game, the bad guy only needs to be right one time, or he needs to get into the system one time. He doesn't need to do it 20,000 times and things like that. There's one chance to get in, and he has your system. So that's very important, where you have to be cyber safe all the time, 24/7. That's very important, okay? Sorry. Now think about this. Recently, there were some actually hacks, Xbox, PlayStation, which I'm pretty sure some of you use and play with. But think about how long you're on your game, or much gaming that you do. And these are the tools, as I said, whether you're using YouTube or whether you're using Facebook, phishing is about comfort. It's social engineering. We'll talk more about that. The idea is that this is what they're going to use, what you use every single day. They're going to use your comfort zone to get at you and get at your information, because they assume that you're not going to do and use the due diligence, that you're going to be lazy, you're going to be careless, you're going to be so happy to get an email or a text message from Xbox. You're going to be so happy, okay, I get emails all the time, I'm clicking, I'm driving in my car, I'm in the mall, someplace like that, I'm on campus, I got a lot of things going on, I got 2-3 phones at the same time. They are banking that's what you're going to do. They're banking that you're not going to be cyber safe, that you're going to be so excited to get this message and to want to reply or respond. And once again, it's impulse. Okay, just like you go shopping and you see something, I got to buy it right now. That's the same psychological theory that the bad guys using when they're trying to phish us, that we're spontaneous clickers. We're going to click, click, click because it's what we do. And so once again, from a cyber crime standpoint of view, that's what they want you to do. So be very smart about that and just have that little, you pause, you think, then you click. If you can just pause for a second, assess what you're looking at, whether it be on your cell phone, your tablet, your gaming system, wherever it may be, analyze it. See what's going on before you jump into it and just click, click, click. Because once you click it, it's in there. It could be there. You just can't unclick it, as they say. It's like ringing a bell, which is very, very important. Which is very important. Okay. Now, one of the things I want to definitely point out is, bring this a little clear to you is, how they hook you. How can so many people every day get fooled, get tricked into doing something they probably know they shouldn't do? And the one thing is the emails. We get emails 1,000 times a day sometimes. But the most important thing about that is it's an email from a trusted source. It's coming from my school. It's coming from financial aid. It's coming from my coach. Okay, it's coming from my classmate. It's coming from my church. It's my bank. It's my scholarship. You trust these people because, you've worked with them before, you've engaged with them before. So you're not thinking, wait a minute, somebody may be duping me. Somebody may be using my relationship with my school or my college to get at me. Hey, you got more financial aid money. Hey, click this, your dorm room has been canceled. Or your grades are posted. So they're getting at you where you live, and they're assuming that you're going to not pause, not think before you click, that you're going to jump right in there and guess what? Email is cheap. It doesn't cost a thing to send an email. I'm not really. It's a low-tech, high-reward kind of crime where they send thousands of emails, and if one person clicks and they get in and get the resources, hey, they win, which is very important. Another aspect of it is where we are when we surfing, when we get on the internet, when we are in cyberspace. Where are you? We're so mobile right now, they don't care where you go. You go to Chick-fil-A, you go to McDonald's, you go to the Pizza Hut. All these organizations are airports. Everyone is giving you free Wi-Fi now, to make you as a customer service to you. I go to Jiffy Lube, and I can sit there and get my oil changed, and they got free Wi-Fi. But you got to be very cautious about that because, once again, if you're on a free Wi-Fi and let's say there's no password, you just jump on it and there's no unique password that agency gives to you personally to get on, then think about the bad guys. The bad guys are searching with bots and things that they're looking for open ports and free Wi-Fi a mile a minute, and they're just jumping on the highway. So you got to be very cautious if you're on certain internet or certain Wi-Fi. Who else is on? You may see folks there, but do you really know who these folks are, what they're doing? As I said, the idea is that your system is open to them. You're on the same network. And once again, from a hacker standpoint of view, you're giving the shop away. You're giving them what they need. You're making it too easy. So once again, you have to be cautious. This is a self-restraint kind of thing you must do in order to be cyber safe. Cybersecurity starts with you. That's what it starts with. You have to be very knowledgeable. You have to caution yourself. As they say in the world of cybersecurity, if it looks free, if it looks good, if it's free, it's probably not. There's a catch to it, and there's a hook to it, trying to fish you and reel you in and get your information. So be very cautious about that as far as that's concerned. In addition to that, think about all the emails you do get, that are legitimate emails, but many emails come with attachments. The same kind of thing. I'm going to send you some cheat codes, or I'm going to send you some free music, or I'm going to send you some coupons. I'm going to send you something, and here's an attachment, or here's some pictures of your vacation, pictures that you took when you were on vacation. Whatever way is going to get you, comfortable enough to click that link in that email is all they want to do. And here's an attachment. It's a PDF. It's a J file, and in that PDF file, it's filled with malware. But you're not thinking along those lines. As I said, once you click it and that thing that comes off that mouse, that malware is there. Now the other concept is this right here. Malware does different kinds of things, looks for different kinds of things. You can open a PDF. You got an article, you got a PDF from a professor, and that PDF is actually malware. That PDF can do something like, for example, into your system and just sit there. Sit there collecting information while you go shopping, banking, personal stuff. And in 30 days, that malware can wake up and send all of your banking information to the dark web. I mean, that's what it was designed to do. Because some of you might have experienced, for example, when you know, your screen goes black or something, or your computer comes on and goes off. That's all those are unique kinds of things that malware can do. It can be aggravating sometimes, may not steal information, or it can be designed to steal information. But it's still, I mean, you may have firewalls and things like that, and we'll talk in a second. But you really have to be cautious about any attachments that you get, because at the end of the day, they're trying to trick you, they're trying to fool you, they're trying to reel you in, they want you comfortable, they're going to give you something for nothing, because if they do that, we love free, don't we? We love the concept of free, but you have to be patient, you have to be cautious, because at the end of the day, phishing is about hooking you and getting what you have, which is very important. And we'll talk more about spear phishing, but the main thing about spear phishing, it usually comes with a source that you know. Okay, if you attend a college, then I'm going to use that college logo or that college's seal to send you my message. If you pretty much go to a certain church, I may use that church's logo. If you're on a certain sporting team. So the idea, once again, using things that you know, things that you can recognize, things you've seen before. I mean, like I said, if I know you play Fortnite, I'm going to use a Fortnite logo all the time, because I know you love that game. You got nice coins. You're at different levels. You're almost at the big boss and things like that. So once again, I'm going to use those things as a bad guy against you, because you're comfortable. You recognize these things. It's not something that you've never seen before. And the spear phishing also, the idea is that, okay, they're going to recognize this is their college, this is their high school, this is their middle school, this is something from their city council. They're going to recognize that, and they're going to be more motivated to click. So just be cautious, and this is how they do hook you and get you reeled in, so they can get at your information as far as that is concerned. It's very, very important when we think about that. Okay. Let me just also put this there as well about the data. And this is the most important piece, is that 90%, probably a little more, but 90% of phishing emails, they get past security, which means you may have a firewall, you may have a VPN, you may have some sort of security thing on the network, but a lot of these emails are still getting past. As I said before, for the bad guy, for the bad actor, all they need to do, think about your school and how many students are at that school, you know, 2,000, 3,000, 20,000 people in that college, or even in that high school. And all it takes is one person to click. Think about the last class you was in before the break, right? Think about your classmates, and you ask yourself, I got 60 people in this class. Would all 60 of us not click that email, or do I due diligence? Think about that. And you know, that's what bad guys are banking on, that not all 2,000 students, all 5,000 students, all 20,000 students are going to be due diligence and not click this email. It has a college logo, it says financial aid, and let me click to see because I'm waiting on a financial aid check, which is very important. And then the other piece, which is 87%, comes at you through your messages. They're coming at you where you spend a lot of time. We probably do more texting and sending messages than we do anything else, because it's quick, easy, and fast, and you do it while you're walking around and things like that. So once again, bad guys know what you're doing, so to speak, and they're trying to get at you where you are. So if you're sending text messages, and you're texting your friends, and you're group texting and things like that, and you have group me and all those other kinds of things you're using, that's how they're going to see. All of a sudden, poof, an email comes up. I get them all the time saying, you won this, you won that, all the time, from a random organization. I have no idea. I never open them, because I'm like, I don't know what this is about. So, and remember now, if it's important, you always want to do two things. Either if it's your bank and you got email from your bank, call the bank. You have the bank number, you call them. You know, if they get an email like unexpected about your financial aid or housing or job, whatever, wait a minute, why am I getting this email here all of a sudden? Take a breath. Let me call financial aid. Let me call housing. Let me contact my professor. because this seems a little strange to me. And if he did send it, then you validate it. If he didn't send it, then you probably avoid a phishing attempt, because that's what this is about. There are a lot of attempts out there trying to get at you. So just be very smart about that. And social media, come on. I mean, Facebook, Twitter. I mean, we got thousands of friends, and a lot of times your friends' can send you messages. You know, things like that, and you don't really know who your friends are friends with. But if it pops up on your system in your message box, and you're just assumed, I'm just going to click and see, click and see, click and see. Remember, just once, one time to get into your laptop, one time to get into the network of your job, the network of the school. All they need for intrusion or breach is just one access to the system. The security system is good, but it's only as good and only as strong as the humans are who engage that. That's what this is about. That's what the whole world about cybersecurity, along those lines. And as it says right there, 49% of breaches are human error, which means, I made a mistake. My bad, I made a mistake. So you have to be very cautious a lot of times, if not all the time, when you're in cyberspace. You have to be secure. You must think about, not that everybody's a criminal, but you got to think about cybercrime could occur, and not to the point where, gee, it'll never happen to me. I know it happened to other people, but it won't happen to me. The reality is that the bad guys are working 24/7. It can happen to anybody. And a lot of times I would tell you is like this. When you think about cybersecurity breaches, think about the neighborhood that you're living on. And think about, I don't know, FedEx guys, somebody in your neighborhood knocking on doors, some houses knocking on doors, knocking on doors, and knocking on doors. Well, a lot of those doors are locked, you know, knocking and checking the lock. They're locked. But a bad guy, a criminal, if the door, he knocks on the door and the door is unlocked, he's coming in. Well, the same kind of concept happens in cyberspace. They're checking ports. They're just checking. Is there a back door? Is something going on here? So your system might have been checked, might have been hacked as well. But guess what? They look around, they may be looking for financial information. It's not there. They may be looking for social security information. It's not there, so they move on. So your system may have been compromised, but no real damage done, because what the bad guy was looking for might not be on your computer, which is fine. So it's one of those kind of concepts that we all are getting, you know, hacked or touched by the system at some particular point. Bad actors, I would say, along those lines. So just be smart about that. So it's very important to protect yourself, and phishing does happen 24 hours a day. Okay. And I just said this is recent right now. Is we're in the COVID situation right now, and this is probably the top phishing technique that's being used right now. Emails are coming out a mile a minute. Something, if you put the word COVID-19, and we're all, you know, nervous and scared and worried about what's going on, so we're quick to click. And guess what? Bad guys, social engineering, they know how we behave. There's something new about COVID. There's a new cure. There's a new remedy. There's something there. I want to see what it is. So what? Click, boom, and they got you. So once again, you have to pause. You have to think before you click, which is very, very important. So whatever is hot, you know, there's a new song, there's a new artist out there, there's a new movie coming out, a new Iron Man, a new Avengers or something's coming out, or a new version of Fortnite is coming out. They're going to use those things because that's exciting. We want to be the first. We want to get the latest, and that's human behavior, and that's what they're banking on all the time. As it says right there, in the first quarter of last year, nearly over 165,000 known phishing sites, and these sites are designed to do phishing. I mean, and they're funded a lot of times by nation states, you know, countries whose job it is to get information, steal information. In certain places in the world where stealing your information in some parts of the world is not a crime. There's no laws, there's no legislation, and nation states that are out there, their job is to steal as much as they can. So once again, there's sites whose job is to go out and simply send emails and try to pretty much find what you're doing and see what they can steal, whether it's research, whether it's financial information, and also even espionage, things like that. So once again, these sites, go ahead.
Looks like we have a question
from
one of our attendees. This attendee is wondering if the incident on Twitter a few weeks ago involving the Bitcoins scam, would that be considered an example of phishing?
It probably would, because the question when you do intrusion, yes, great question. When you're doing intrusion detection, the first thing you want to find out, how did they get into the system? How to get into the system. And if I recall, that was a situation where they were sending out tweets and tweet messages about getting access to this Bitcoin. And so they're using that to get in. So the idea boils down to within that message that was sent through Twitter, there were links, click this link to get access to this and that. And that's what phishing does. And most importantly, it's an opportunity, once again, doing what everyone who clicked that message is interested in Bitcoin. They saw an opportunity to make money. And so once again, and they clicked it, they're in it, and yeah, it is phishing. And once again, but it's using that platform. They use Twitter, which is still a messaging system, to get to those people, which is like what spear phishing is. These folks like Bitcoin, so these folks got money to invest. So let's put something in front of them. And I think if I recall, the idea was it was a trustworthy site where, if I'm correct, they used the accounts of famous people. So we trust if it came from a famous actor, athlete, a politician. And that was one of the ways I think they really got everybody, because it was associated with trusted people. And it goes back again to that social engineering. But phishing, once again, is, we're going to throw something out, see who latches on, and once we get inside and get their information, and we can do whatever we want to do with it once we get in the door. But that's a great question and a great example right there what phishing is, as far as that's concerned. Now the other piece about that situation is that they probably, and one of the biggest question was, they did not steal as much as they could have stolen. I mean, that's kind of crazy. So you don't know were they young hackers, didn't know what they were doing, got scared. Why did they stop? Because most bad guys are going to try to take every particular penny, and they only got several $100,000. When you have these organized actors, they're stealing millions daily. So that's one of the questions that folks are still trying to answer, of whether or not this was also a test run of the system. Could they get into Twitter and have people click and get access to things? So once again, just keep an eye out for that, because I don't think that's really over yet with those type platforms and using things like Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is actually growing as a phenomenon around the world right now. So that's what phishing is all about, using those web-based emails as far as that's concerned, but also businesses as well. You're getting an email from Facebook. You got an email from Twitter. You got an email from NFL, whatever you like. So bad guys are using everything that we deal with, whether you're planting flowers or if you're a chef or something like that. They're going to use the things that are comfortable to you. Okay? And I think all those people who clicked it, they had an idea. I want to know more about Bitcoins. So come on in. Come on in. It's all free. We're going to show you how to make money. And the reality is there's nothing free on the internet, nothing, okay, which is very important, but good question. In addition to that, keep this in mind as well, a lot of those phishing sites, 75% of them use protections. They're secure as far as that's concerned. But once again, the idea boils down to, do you know if you've been phished? Do you know if you have malware in your system? How often do you check? Because one of the things that I think one of the biggest issues when it comes to phishing or anything, especially malware and malicious malware, is how often is your computer or is your system patched? I get these emails from Apple or Microsoft saying a new patch has been released and things like that. Well, sometimes your computer's set up to sort of allow the computer to sort of fix itself. Other times you have to do it manually. But keep in mind now, a patch and also a computer system. I'll give you this analogy here. Every computer software, every piece of software that is produced, that is developed and comes out, looks like Swiss cheese, which means it has all these different holes all through it. So that's why when you see a patch or vulnerability or something like that, that's because someone found a hole in the software, a backdoor, a weakness in that software. There's no software that's ever written perfect. It just does not exist. And that's why you have the concept like 0 day, which means that when that software reaches the market, every hacker is out there looking to see poking holes to see where they can get in. And so if you get an email from, say Microsoft or someplace like that saying, your system should be able to patch itself automatically, that way you don't have to worry about it, which is the best way to go, versus getting an email that may be a spamware or phish. So as long as you patching your software, keep the software up to date, you reduce the chances of, once again, malicious malware getting in. And for some of you may also want to consider this. there's a concept, which is I'm pretty sure you're aware of. It's called bug bounties, and this is where folks are getting paid to look at platforms, look at software. I think Tesla has one as well, where you're looking into their system, looking for vulnerabilities, and if you find some, you get paid. That's actually a job out there. So look up bug bounties, because it could be an opportunity for some of you who really, if you're like a threat hunter and you really like getting in there, reading code, writing code, interpreting code, things like that. That could be a great opportunity for you, a little side hustle. Because once again, every piece of software has holes, and that's why a lot of times, when you're going from Microsoft, from one version to another, they tell you we're going to stop servicing those old versions, because once again, it just takes too much time, too much money to be patching these old holes. So if you have iPhone 5, they're not patching those phones anymore. So you're very vulnerable to a hacker who says, I want to take advantage of the vulnerabilities in the iPhone 5. So once again, that's one thing you got to keep in mind. The bad guy is looking for any vulnerability that they can get to get in. So that's very important, very important. Okay. As I said before, in a nutshell, you just say phishing is just simply, I'm just tricking people. Okay. It's a social piece where how people behave, how people interact, how we communicate, how do we understand the things that are world around us. Phishing is all a social engineering exercise. But at the end of the day, it's like a 3-card Monte. It's a con man. Their job is to con you out of what you have. And so what they're going to do is lull you to sleep. You know what I'm saying? Get you to trust them. And as I said before, a lot of folks are clicking them and don't even know they've been hacked. Or you have some organizations, some companies, malicious malware might have been on their systems for months. They never knew. Stealing money money by the penny, not even realizing. And you think about it, once again, I'll tell you this right here. The most important thing for a lot of times for bad guys, other than pure bitcoins and cash, the most important piece for them is 3 things that you have. They want your birth certificate, your birth date. They want your social security number. And you may not realize this, but next to your social security number, probably the most important thing about you, all of us, that we use every day probably, is your email address. Think about this. Think about your email address. Do you have a job email address? Do you have a school email address? Do you have a personal email address? If you're using your same email for all 3 of those different folks, that may be a little vulnerability right there. And the idea, really, for everything that you have on the internet in cyberspace, you need 2 separate things. You need a unique password for Twitter, a different password for Facebook, a different password, or a username and password for Facebook, a username and password for Twitter, a username and password for everything. If I have your email address for Twitter, then guess what? I have your email address for school, because they're the same. And a lot of us, once again, don't use strong passwords. So therefore, if I have your school's email and password, I have your bank account email and password. So keep that in mind. And that's what I would tell you also. Take a look at what's called password managers. And what they're designed to do is to manage hundreds of passwords, because a lot of folks have, I don't care what I touch, I have a different username and a different password, but I only have one password to remember, really, and that's my password manager, which is a 21-character encrypted password. So once again, the bad guys are banking that you're going to be lazy. They're banking on that you're not going to pretty much do your due diligence and have long, strong, unique passwords. That if I have Fortnite, I have Madden, I have whatever video game I have, I use this. I'm use the same username in all my games all the time. Guess what? I got you. So keep that in mind, because the object of the game is to trick you into revealing things, and your job to be cyber safe is to make it as difficult as you can for the bad guy. That's what this is all about. You have to make it difficult for the bad guy, because they know certain things about you. They know what games you like. They know what restaurants you go to. They know what schools you attend. So they already have an upper hand, because their job, there's so much open source information out there now, and they hack one school and your files in that school, they already got information about your address, your family, probably, lots of things. So bad guys have different ways of getting at you, but even more so, if you ever notice if you go to the website right now, go to, let's say, go to your video game and go to Twitter, and then you go to Amazon, and you're going to see ads for, toasters popping up on Amazon because you looked at it at Amazon, you looked at a toaster while you're on Twitter, Facebook. Those cookies and those kinds of things like that are what bad guys are banking on. They're banking on the fact that you're buying sporting cards. So now you're going to see more and more of those ads, and you don't know why they're popping up, because that's what bad guys are doing, and they're banking that you're going to follow up on that as far as that is concerned. Okay. All right. The other piece is phishing. As we said, there are different types of phishing. And what happens a lot of times, and what we see here on the street, is mass scale phishing. And that's really about, once again, they're going to send an email to everybody in the college. Everybody got an email that says, come pick up your financial aid. They're just going to throw it out there wide neck. Everybody to come and get it. Or they're going to say, everybody's housing has been canceled. Click this and renew your housing. Or they're going to say everybody, just the whole town, the whole city. So their job is to throw as much out there as they can and see what's going to bite, which is very important. Whereas spear phishing is that targeted. I only want to target folks who play Fortnite, because those guys, once again, they're not doing their due diligence. But and also keep in mind, a lot of times when you're playing video games and things like that, you either use your credit card or guess what, your parents' credit cards. Okay, and that's what bad guys want to get to. Okay, I don't want to get to your credit card. You don't have one, but I know that you got on this game with your parents' credit card, and that's the bank account that we want to get into, which is very important. And the concept of whaling, you probably heard that concept before, but whaling is when you go after the big fish. You're going after the CEOs and guys like that. These six-figure guys, these big money guys. So you know who the CEO of Ford or Apple or IBM, you know who these guys are. So that's who you want to target. That's actually what happened as a question earlier about the Twitter. They targeted whales. They targeted big people with big money. And so they knew that these folks right here, if we can just get in their system one time, we can make a killing. And so that's very important. So it's a different type of phishing, but it's all the same theory as well, is how to get access to information. Some of you probably recall about a couple of years ago, John Podesta, when he was working with Hillary Clinton, when he got hacked, his Gmail account got hacked. Because once again, he's a whale, political guy, federal guy, presidential level guy. If we can get into his system, it's going to be a lot of things we can get. And what they did, they got in. They got into his system. They got, the whole Hillary Clinton email debacle and things like that. But phishing is how they walked in it. It wasn't like they, snuck in overnight and got into the system. It wasn't like they stole his laptop. Nope, an email that he received. And this is actually what you see now is the email. This is the email that he received. He got this email right here in his box, in his Gmail, and it said what? Yeah, guess what? Someone got your password. What happened? Oh my God, my password, all my personal things. Gee, what happened? What happened? So what does he do? Didn't think anything of it. This is a White House level, presidential level, professional person, okay, receives a little nickel dime email here, and what he does quickly, he clicks it. And if you can see right here, the first line, and this is where the due diligence is. If you look at this, look at the account where it came from, you may see no reply, but where does googleemail.com, what website is that? I thought that Google was just google.com myself. So once again, caution. He didn't take a time. He didn't look at this at all. He just looked at this piece right here. Someone has your password, and he went and clicked. And then you come down here. Sure, he does HTTPS right here, which is what you want to look for. But bit.ly.l, come on. This is not a legitimate source. Okay. So once again, those little two pieces of information right there would have told him this is phishing. This is spam. This is malware. I should not click this. And the bad guys probably sent this email to a lot of other people. But guess what? All they needed was one person to click, and Mr. Podesta clicked it, and the rest is really history when it comes to the whole Hillary Clinton email and the election and things like that. But a simple phishing. This was not a whole group of guys coming to carjack someone. This is a simple email. Didn't cost nothing to send, and look what damage it did. It probably changed the presidential election in the U.S. Okay, a phishing email did that. Okay, then I just want to give you an idea, and I'm right here just for you to pause for a second. Whenever you get an email, there are things that they're looking for that you have to check. Once again, yeah, they will always give you a replica. This looks like your email. Here's we've updated your account, something like that. You got an email about that, or you'll see, register for a new membership. Get some additional coins. Membership to a gym. They're going to use what you like, what you do, and they're going to try to get this. And this is why you have to be very cautious every single time you get really anything in social media. I mean, when you're on Facebook and someone, you know, sends you an internal message or whatever, you have to pretty much look at, so wait a minute, what's going on here? Look at these telltale signs that this is not a good, or has the potential of being, you know, malicious. That's very important. And just in the same kind of thing right here, the idea boils down to looking for the certain kinds of things. They're going to use who you know. Okay, they're going to use agencies you know, and things like that. But then again, there are things that happen within the email, which is this right here. A lot of times, folks in these third world countries, their English may not be that good. Their spelling may not be that good. Their grammar may not be that good. And that's like, wait a minute, why is, come on, this guy is a professor at a university and he's writing like this? That should give you pause. That should give you pause. The other piece about when I say take a breath for a moment, you see right there it says, past due, because none of us want to be late on a bill. Okay, we don't want to be late for this, and so the bad guys know this. So they give you it's a sense of urgency. You must respond right now. You must do something today, this moment. You can't wait, or it's going to be a problem. There's actually a phishing used to come out before, which is the FBI hack, where if you're on your computer, the FBI seal will come up there and lock your screen and says, look, your computer's been taken by the FBI, and at the end of the day it says, send us $300 and we'll allow release your computer. You have to understand that's malware, but they're going to be, but they know that certain. A lot of people do some money because they're afraid. They don't know. They don't pause. And the bad guys banking on that, which is very, very important. So you've got to keep that in mind. You got to pause. You got to think before you click, which is critical all the time. Now, I did this right here. InfoSec is one of the top leading cybersecurity agencies out there, and they actually have what's called a phishing test. There are a lot of agencies, you know, they have their own, but a lot of agencies do this all the time. They want to test their organization. They want to test the college. They want to test the school and say, if we send this email out, how many of our faculty members and how many of our students would actually click this email? Because it's really, it's a malicious email. And so a lot of organizations use these kinds of tools and resources to do internal testing, which you have to do, because it also comes with training and awareness. Because I said earlier, it's a human construct. It's how people behave when they're on the internet is really determines how secure and how safe your information is going to be. And I think that's critical right there. And so, for example, I did this the other day, and this is the email that would come that I could have sent to someone. You know, your name or your email would have appeared here. Your email would appear there. Your college or school, you may have Office 365 on your system. So guess what? You recognize Office. You recognize 365. You're on it all the time. So, okay, I'll give you. It's about to expire. Let me see what's going on. Let me go in to see what I need to do. And this is the magic right here. Please click here. So once again, it's asking you to do something. You're not going to, well, you should think twice, okay, all right, as far as that's concerned, because you can always, once again, call your administrator and say, listen, are we updating our system, or is my password about to expire? So that's where you have to be proactive, take the time and reach out to them to validate before you just click this, because as I said, this right here is malware. It looks nice, it looks pretty, you're comfortable with it, but the bad guy's banking on that's what you're going to do. That's what they're banking on. You got to be very cautious about that. And I just wanted to also show you here, in the world of threat hunting and intrusion detection, or just who bad guys are, who adversaries are, these are the three things that are always critical. You know, they all have unique tactics, things that they do. You know, their modus operandi when it comes to doing cybercrime. They have certain techniques they use. You know, you have a guy who says, you know, who like, he only steals Hondas. That's his thing. You understand me? And some bad guys, they only do spear phishing. Other bad guys do DOS attacks. So once again, and this is one of the ways when you talk about cyber intelligence, is how, and these records or these profiles of bad guys are built, because once again, just as the bad guys are studying, you know, us, you know, there are organizations out here who are studying bad guys and what they do, how they do it, and why they do it. But the main thing about spear phishing, very low tech, send an email, see what you can catch, which is very, very important. But every hacker has a tail. or has a footprint, or has something that they do all the time. And this is when it comes to investigations and things like this. This is how the FBI and those guys can track these guys down, because they all have this. The techniques work really, and if you know this guy uses a certain technique, then the chances are better to attack to deal with him. There are organizations out there like Martyr, Attack, whose job it is now to collect all this information on here on the bad guys. So their database, their organizations out there. If you want to know what threats are coming at educational institutions or hospitals or whatever, this is how you find out. And I also wanted to point out to you here that when you think about cyberspace and cybersecurity, cybercrime, just like the normal, mafia crime family, you have the same structure in the internet. Because if someone steals your password right now, that password might end up in the nation state in seconds. They might have got paid as, they may get, pennies on the dollar for stealing emails, and it goes up the food chain. They may not be the ones who are going to steal your information, but they're going to steal your passwords, your email addresses, and give it to someone else. It's almost like when you're getting something free online, what they always ask you, give us your email, and you can make up a password. Because what they really want is that email address. If I got that email address, and then I can do a dictionary hack or something like that to guess your new password, then we have you. But just keep that in mind. It's not just one guy, as they always say, in the basement in the computer. It's a whole enterprise of people out here, a whole nation state, a whole organization who you're up against. Because as I said, that's why you have to be cautious, because they're not going to be sleeping at all. Okay. And this diagram right here sort of illustrates sort of the whole process, because you have these, these threat groups right here, and their job their job is crime. That's what their job is. They wake up in the mornings all day long, and before they go to bed, their job is, how can I get information? How can I get financial information, personal information, research information, whatever it is, that's their jobs are. And then the idea is that they would send an email, as it says right here, well crafted, nice, professional. Let me send this email to you, the target. And they're going to target every aspect of social media that you might be on. Any and everybody is basically susceptible. And once you do that, and that target opens that email, this is the gravy right here. Once that email is open, your whole system is compromised. Now, hopefully, if it depends on what organization you're with, you may get an alert. Okay, your CERT team may catch it, but they're not going to catch all of them. And once they get into the network, then they're going to get whatever data, information they're looking for. And it's a constant cycle. This is what they do every day, all day. So therefore, you also have to be very cautious and cyber safe every single time you pick up your cell phone, every time you check your bank account online, every time you send a message, every time you get a message. You have to realize that there's a cycle out there, there's someone out there watching you and what you're trying to do. And the most important, Dragos, which is another threat intelligence company as well, and this is what he says about phishing. Once again, it's the most common, easy to do, low cost, doesn't take a minute. You get a platform, get a phishing software, and you can send thousands of emails out. You get that email address. You don't even need the password. All you need is a good working email address. So as I said earlier, you should have a different email for your gaming, a different email for school, a different email for work, a different email for personal. Because if they get you once and all your stuff is the same, then they got everything that you have. So this is a way you can protect yourself and your family and friends and things like that by being cyber smart when it comes to utilizing different emails, different passwords as often as you can. Because as I said, the other point to point out, just so you know, on the dark web, you can actually buy dictionaries of passwords. Because if they hack a site and get all these user passwords, those passwords and usernames are now in a book online somewhere in the dark web, dark net that you can purchase, that bad guys get through Tor and places like that. So think about that. Or if you still had if you had a MySpace back in the day, that MySpace username and password probably in a hacker's dictionary somewhere out there in dark space. So that's why it's important to have long, strong passphrases for the most part. But if you keep doing the same old, what you're doing is making it easy for the bad actor. We don't want to do that. Okay. As I said earlier, You have other concepts, more deliberate concepts about phishing, which is how they get at you. Vishing and smishing. But in a nutshell, you get a phone call. You're like, who is this? Who is this? Why are you calling me? You know, along those lines. And the idea is that you get this phone call from some unknown person. You're engaging in a conversation. They're, once again, getting into your system. Okay? So that's, once again, it's a technique. So it's not necessarily only through your messages, you know, text messages, but also conversations as well. We're going to talk to you and ask you some questions and sort of, you know, pick your brain and see what we can get from you because you haven't hung up yet. So therefore, we're going to try to reel you in, ask you some things. You know, do you like the video game? Did you get the certificate that we sent you? Whatever's going to take to keep you on that phone and glean as much as they can from you is what they're going to do. And then I'm pretty sure a lot of you might have seen these things because this is one I get all the time, you know, and I think I get it from Sam's Club or something like that. But once again, I said earlier, nothing is really free. Nothing is really free because the reality is that, you know, even if you get a letter in the mail, your job is that let me contact Walmart. Let me call them before I click this right here to see did they send me anything. Okay, because if you click that wmarkclick.com, that is malware. Your system is now compromised or automatically. So once again, and so they're constantly sending you, you're the customer, and they want to communicate. No, if you go to Forever 21 or you go to Macy's or wherever you shop, you're getting, because remember how you go to the stores, and I don't do this a lot anymore, but when I go to the store and I go to purchase something, they will always ask me, what's my zip code? I don't give it to them anymore. I'm off the grid. I'm trying to reduce my footprint. So once again, they're banking on that you're going to be a good shopper. Your shopping habits are going to tell us about you. And I know you shop at the store all the time. It's Thanksgiving time. Here's a sale. Here's a 20% sale. Click malware. So you got to be very smart about that as you engage, once again, the internet as we move forward. So as we begin sort of to wrap up here, one of the things that are very important I want to leave you with is not that you got to be paranoid. We don't want that, but just be a little light suspicious. Okay, just take a deep breath before you hit the click. Okay, let me see what this is. Let me analyze what I'm looking at. Let me look at my game here. Let me look at all my friends and all of my other members in this application. You know, I'm playing 2K and things like that. Let me just check out what this is. You understand me? It's very important. And it says right there, don't be ready to click, or just simply take a breath. You know, if you got an attachment from the college, then I'm gonna call my roommate. I'm gonna call some of my classmates. Did you get this email? You did. Did you open it up? You did. What happened? Nothing. Okay then. Okay, let me maybe a little safe. But if you see, and then a lot of times in colleges and universities and other places, they will send out an email. No one opened that email. It's spam. Because I sometimes get 3, 4, 5 emails, the same mess. I'm like, where's this coming from? And usually a little bit later, I would get an email from IT saying, don't open that email. But think about it, you got 4,000 people. Somebody might open that email. I mean, I don't do it, but somebody might have. Okay? And the most important piece is bullet number 3. Contact the sender. I mean, if someone sent you something, you know, you can pause for a moment, go to another phone, call them. You know, you in Google, go to Yahoo and email them. You know, find out, okay, did you send this to me? I mean, I have it, but I don't want to do anything else with it. So that's where the pause comes from. You take a deep breath first along those lines. And the other piece, you got to report it. So if you're getting phishing emails at your job, at your school, let somebody know. Because once again, there are groups out there whose job is to hunt these guys down, to investigate these kinds of things, because it has to be sort of a combative kind of thing, good versus evil. So as the bad guys are trying to get your information, we have the good guys who are trying to protect that information as far as that's concerned. So it's very important. Okay. Again, be aware of phishing emails. Watch out for your Wi-Fi. Any open Wi-Fi is a risk. Any open Wi-Fi is a risk. And then pay particular attention to your HTTPS dot and that little padlock, because sometimes you might see it, no padlock. You might see it, the padlock is open. You know, that's just a telltale that it may be a little more secure because they're spoofing those things now. It's very important. Once again, virtual wallets. Once again, the idea is that, you know, you're swiping your card and things like that. Bad guys want those Bitcoins. They want those virtual wallets. They want those credit cards because once again, they can do so much more with them, even a lot more with a credit card than a debit card. So once again, it's those kinds of things. Me, myself, I try for the most part to pay cash when I got it to do whatever I can. So that's very important. So you have to think about your shopping habits, your spending habits. A lot of your, if you're playing the video games or whatever, and you want to buy new costumes or buy new levels, whatever you got to do, you're just, your credit card's already on file. Your information is already on file. All you have to do is click a button, and you got more guns and bullets and cars or whatever it is. So think about that. How many games or applications where your credit card is just living, so you can put, even if it's Amazon, even if it's another shopping where you said simply click and go, because you said you can keep my information in your database. What happens if Amazon get hacked? What happens if Walmart get hacked? They have your credit card. They have your information, so they don't really need to get to you. They have what you're giving them, which is very important. And once again, you got to protect your sensitive information, your date of birth, your social security, which are the most two important, but also your name, your address, your phone number, your email. Those are things that are personable to you, because the person, all they really need is your date of birth, the last four of your social, and they can go buy a boat. Really, it happens every day. So you got to understand, where does your personal information live? How much information does my school have about me? How much information does this gaming system have about me? Because once again, if anyone gets breached along that supply chain, everybody's breached. So that's very important, okay? Just want to also let you know that if you're trying to get additional information about, and which is about, learning more about being cyber safe, so there are lots of organizations out there whose job it is to sort of educate us and keep us aware, and their job is to be knowledgeable about what's going on when it comes to phishing. And so there are actually some resources out there, anti-phishing.org. If you have a chance, take a look at that. Phish Me blogs, trade security blogs. And these are blogs that are talking about all the different types of phishing that's going on, the examples, what they're using, what techniques they're using, what tactics they're using. So this is some places you can sort of go every now and then, just see what's going on in that particular space to increase your knowledge. Phishing.org as well, and all Digital Guardian. So these are just a couple that I'm aware of that I use it from time to time. But the main thing boils down to, the bad guy is not sleeping. And so therefore, you need organizations, you need folks like yourselves to be diligent to really combat, and also to ensure that the risks are reduced, the threats are reduced, and the vulnerabilities are gone. So that's very important as far as that is concerned. Okay. In addition, I said earlier about reporting. Now, this is important as well. A lot of times things happen, and you're like, okay, well, I didn't open that email, and I know it was phishing, but I'm just going to move on. But there are organizations out there whose job is to collect this stuff, catalog this stuff, investigate this stuff. So once again, if you're ever hacked, you ever phished, if you ever breach, you just don't take it and say, okay, I'll learn better next time. You have to share this information with USC CERT, which is one of the leading organizations in the entire country. So I would encourage you to visit their site as well. Google has a platform. Actually, they all have platforms out there when it comes to phishing and reporting any sorts of spamware, malware, and things like that. So if you really want to know a lot of good information, the Federal Trade Commission and organizations like Symantec, you may have Norton's or someplace like that. All these organizations are designed to give you the tools and resources that you need to be better and more cyber safe when you are online. Now, the other piece, and this is also important as well, as I said earlier, about patching and updating and things like this. You may get an account with Symantec or have a firewall, but if you don't update those things ongoing, then you're giving yourself, Swiss cheese holes in your network or in your system. So that's important as well. You have to do your part to stay as cyber strong as possible, which is important, right? And if you just want to take a further look at some additional information about phishing, these are two agencies, organizations that work with companies and schools and colleges around here, where these organizations can use these platforms to test their staff. And just think about that. To think about your school, your college, or your community. Is everybody cyber aware? Are they cyber smart? Would they click this link that says time to change your password? And if you send this, and if a company sends this out, and they do this all the time, they want to, and we do it ours as well. We want to check, do our organization, are we cyber strong? Are we doing what we need to do? And what occurs sometimes, you send it out, and you can find out who clicked it. And so when we find out who clicked it, now this is just a test, but you find out who clicked that email, now you know who needs additional training. So down, you call a meeting, get everybody trained up, be cautious, take a breath, think about what you're looking at before you click it, because once you click it, They're in the system. They're in the organization. They're into your financial aid. They're into your bank account. So that's what's critical about phishing. It's low tech, it's cheap, inexpensive, but it's banking. This is the most important. It's banking on you that you're not going to do your due diligence, that you're going to be so happy to play Fortnite. You're going to be so happy to get that new video game. You're going to be so happy to communicate with your folks, live streaming and live, Facebook Live or whatever you're doing. Just happy to do that. And that's what the bad guys are banging. That's what social engineering is all about. Understanding human behavior, how we do what we do. So the more you can sort of, be aware and have a little patience, the more secure you and those around you will be. And that's very important, very important, very important. Okay? So, really, I want to thank each and every one of you for giving me an opportunity to present and talk about phishing. And you can see I'm a little excited about phishing, anything about cyber. But I really want you to think about, as I said before, we're all going to use social media, the internet. It's not going anywhere. Since COVID, most of us are doing various virtual things now, probably online more than we ever were before. But just as we're online now, the bad guys are always online. And so therefore, how we can sort of better protect ourselves is do our due diligence and always pause. Always think before we click. If we do those three things, then I think we'll be cyber safe, for a long time. That's not a situation that we won't ever be hacked. We're going to be hacked because that's just the nature of the beast. But the issue is that we have a chance to mitigate the damage as far as what they do and what they get. And the more you can protect your information with strong passwords, different email addresses, and things like that, the better things will be. So that's important there as well. Okay.
So, we have a question.
Yes.
What should you do if you click a phishing link and you realize afterwards that you clicked a phishing link? What should be your steps to secure your machine?
Well, what you want to try to do, if you can, run whatever internal scanners you have on your system to try to delete it as far as that's concerned, because that's the best way to do it. Because normally if you have a Norton's or something like that, you can run a virus scan, and I would encourage you to have a virus scan on your system. So if you run that virus scan, it should delete that email right then and there. Because you notice it right the moment you clicked it, you're at that first minute point where you can do some intervention right now. So you're not giving it a lot of time to lock your system down and lock a lot of files along those lines. So the idea would be, a virus is in my system, let me run a virus scan and see can I catch it as far as that's concerned. And hopefully you can do that. A lot of organizations and places like that, once you click it, they will get an alert. So you may get an email from your IT guy, but for your personal home computers, you want to have firewalls, you want to have VPNs, and you want to have those virus scans on there. And also you want to also patch or update your system ongoing. Because although you might have gotten a phishing email, that malicious email might have been mitigated, and there's already a fix for it, or there's already a protective thing for that. But the main thing is just run a virus scan and try to get it out of your system as fast as you can. Okay.
Awesome. Well, it looks like that's our last question. I don't see any other questions as of now.
Okay, good. Well, once again, I want to thank you for the opportunity on CodeDay. I really enjoyed it. I found it very exciting. If you ever need to ask me any questions, please, you have my contact in CodeDay. Just reach out to me, and I look forward to doing it again sometime. Okay?
Thank you. Have a wonderful evening, everybody. Bye.
Bye-bye. Y'all take care.